The Galactic Academy's main gate shimmered with defensive shields, a monument to 1,000 allied species' technological prowess. Akame stood in the processing line, her emerald scales catching the binary sunset of Nexus Prime. She was Sarkielian, a warrior race known throughout the galaxy for their combat excellence. Behind her, other cadets whispered and pined. Voltharians with their crystalline armor, Krell with their multiple arms, all children of species that had conquered stars. Then Verk approached the gate. The laughter started immediately. He was small by galactic standards, his skin a peculiar shade of brown, his frame lacking the obvious weapons that evolution had granted other races. No claws, no natural armor, no venom sacs. Just a human in a simple cadet uniform carrying a worn duffel bag. "Look at the primitive," a Voltharan cadet sneered. "I heard Earth only achieved fusion power 3 cycles ago. Probably here on some diversity program," another added, mandibles clicking with amusement. Akame said nothing, but her tail twitched with annoyance. She'd heard of humans. Everyone had after their planet was catalogued 20 years prior. A backwater world that had barely unified under one planetary government. They were scientific curiosities, nothing more. Verk walked to the scanner with steady steps, seemingly unbothered by the mockery. The processing officer, a bored-looking Tanith, waved him forward with 2 of her 6 arms. "Place your hand on the bioanalyzer," she droned. Ver complied. The device hummed, scanning his physiology, his genetic markers, his species classification. Then something changed. The humming became a high-pitched whine. The scanner's light shifted from blue to amber, then to crimson red. "Earthborn detected," the scanner's automated voice announced. "Species, human, warning level, Alpha Crimson, designation, do not engage in unsanctioned combat, threat classification, extreme." The laughter died instantly. The processing officer's antenna shot straight up. Her multiple eyes widened as she read the display, then read it again. She tapped frantically at her console, clearly thinking there was a malfunction. This must be an error," she muttered. "It's not," Ver said quietly. Akame's predatory instincts kicked in. She'd fought warriors from a dozen species. She'd earned her place at the academy through blood and victory. The scanner had never shown higher than yellow for any cadet she'd seen. Even her own scan had been orange, combat proficient, approach with caution. But Alpha Crimson? That was a designation reserved for apex predators, for species that had evolved under such brutal conditions that engaging them in combat was effectively suicide. "There must be some mistake," a Krell cadet said, his forearms unconsciously moving to defensive positions. That's a human. They have no natural weapons. They're not even particularly strong." The Tanith officer finally found what she was looking for in her database. Her face went pale, an impressive feat for a species with naturally gray skin. "According to Galactic Survey records," she read aloud, her voice shaking slightly, "Earth is a Class 12 death world. Gravity 1.3 times galactic standard. Atmospheric oxygen 23%. Borderline toxic. Native predators include persistence hunters, ambush predators, and pack hunters. Dominant species evolved as persistence predators with pattern recognition capabilities that exceed AI standard thresholds." Akame felt her scales prickle. Her own homeworld was Class 7, already considered highly dangerous. The officer continued reading, seemingly unable to stop. "Humans possess extreme endurance capabilities, ability to function on minimal sleep during crisis, pack bonding instincts that extend to other species, pattern recognition, and strategic planning abilities rated in the 99.8th percentile." She paused, her voice dropping to a whisper. "A psychological stress response that increases performance rather than decreasing it." "That's impossible," the Voltharian who'd mocked Ver said. "Most species freeze or flee under extreme stress." Not humans, the officer said, still staring at her screen. When threatened, their adrenal systems pump combat stimulants directly into their bloodstream. Their pain receptors partially shut down. Their strength increases. They become faster, more focused, and they don't stop until the threat is neutralized or they're dead. Ver stood patiently, his expression neutral. But Akeem noticed something she missed before, the way he stood balanced on the balls of his feet, the way his eyes constantly scanned the environment, the controlled breathing. He wasn't relaxed. He was ready. "There's a note here from the Galactic Council," the officer added, her voice barely audible. "Humans have only been spacefaring for 20 years. In that time, they've ended 4 conflicts through military intervention. Not because they were asked to help, but because they decided slavery and genocide were unacceptable, and they intervened anyway, against species more technologically advanced than them." The crowd of cadets had gone completely silent. "They won," the Voltherian whispered. "They won," the officer confirmed. "Every single conflict. The Council's recommendation is, do not engage humans in combat scenarios unless absolutely necessary. If engagement is necessary, do not assume victory based on size, strength, or technological advantage. Humans do not fight fair. They fight to win." Ver picked up his duffel bag. "Am I cleared for entry?" he asked simply. The officer nodded mutely, waving him through. As Verk walked past the crowd of cadets, Akeem noticed something else. Despite the scanner's warning, despite the fear now evident in every face around her, Verk's expression held no triumph, no smugness, just a quiet determination. She made a decision. Other cadets might avoid the human out of fear, but Akeem was Sarkielian. She didn't fear worthy opponents. She respected them. "Ver!" she called out, her voice cutting through the silence. "Wait!" He turned, eyebrow raised questioningly. "I'm Akeem. Squad assignments are tomorrow. I think we should be on the same team." A slow smile crossed Verk's face, predatory and warm at the same time. "I'd like that." As they walked together toward the academy proper, Akeem glanced back at the scanner, still flashing its crimson warning. The other cadets had mocked him at the gate, had seen him as weak, primitive, beneath their notice. They'd learned an important lesson today. Never judge a species by their appearance. Judge them by what they had to overcome to reach the stars. And humans, Akeem was beginning to understand, had overcome far more than any of them could imagine. End.